Hey, welcome back to Season 2 of the OWNR OPS Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gray, and in this episode, I'm going to be doing a recap of Season 1 from 2024, and I'm also going to be sharing with you the vision for this podcast moving forward. I first off just want to thank each and every one of you for listening and supporting the podcast. I never thought that it would take off this fast. I started it in, I guess it was December or January of last year. And the reason is because we weren't doing any sort of wintertime services. For those of you who do not know me and what we do, my name's Austin. I own and operate Bear Claw Land Services here in Colorado, and we do forestry and excavation in the summertime. And then this year we just brought on snow. But last year I was not doing any sort of snow removal work. And I got bored over the winter, and I thought, man, what could I do and how could I spend my time that would be useful in a way to where I could learn how to better grow my business? I had set the goal to do 1.2 last year, and I was like, man, who could I talk to? I had been involved on X. I'm not super involved on any of the social media platforms other than X. That's the one I spend my time on, and because I believe that for whatever reason, there's just a bunch of entrepreneurs and business owners on X. And there has been a really cool network of people. I've made some friends, especially entrepreneurial friends, who I can bounce ideas off of. And I just was thinking all right, what if we just did an interview style podcast, brought these people on who are growing businesses or who have grown businesses, and we interviewed them, we had them share their story, and then also asked targeted questions about how they thought about growing their business. And so I started it. And Julius, if you're listening, thank you so much for being the first episode. You are the OG guest, so I really appreciate it. Bodie, you were another one of the first ones, so I do appreciate you just kind of seeing the vision from the very beginning and being willing to jump on camera and jump on the microphone and share your thoughts at the time of operating the dumpster rental business. Yeah, that was really sort of the start. And then from there, I just started reaching out to other people on X who were business owners and asked if I could interview them. The motivation of it was selfish in the beginning. It was selfish because I wanted to interview other business owners who I felt like I could selfishly learn from. But as the vision sort of started to develop, I thought, okay, if we can do this in a public format, surely there are other people out there who can benefit from this knowledge as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the episodes here, and I'm going to miss some of you, and I'm also going to mention some of you. So if you are listening to this, I do appreciate if you were a guest last year on the OWNR OPS Podcast. And then if you are just a listener and you have not been a guest yet, I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. Some of you have been reaching out and telling me that the stuff has been helpful. And I want you guys to know who have just been listening that I'm going all in on this thing in 2025. I spent a lot of time reflecting on this at the end of the year and thought about, what is the direction that we're going to go with OWNR OPS Podcast? And the direction we're going to go is to continue doing more of the same. I'm going to bring on successful business owners in the services and the trades who are either actively growing a business, who have started a business, or who have exited a business. And my thought process on this was I don't need to be industry focused. I put a ton of thought into whether or not I should focus it specifically more on the land clearing, excavation, snow removal side of things. But the reality is there are already podcasts out there like that. If you guys have not listened to the Dirtbags podcast, Luke Egerbrotten, he was a guest on the show. Luke, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you being willing to come on and share. Dude, you're one of the most positive guys I've ever met, and so much fun just to chat marketing. If you guys have not listened to the Dirtbags podcast yet and you're in the excavation, land clearing, any sort of industry where you're using heavy equipment, go check that out because they're very focused on that. We're going to stay true to what we started as, and I'm going to continue to interview other business owners in other industries. And the principle I'll come back to is all businesses are very similar. It does not matter what type of business you are growing. You still have to think about when to hire. You still have to think about who to hire. You still have to think about what to hire people for, what roles and responsibilities to delegate to other people and to let go of control of if you want to grow your business. There are a couple themes that were very prominent throughout interviewing successful guests. I'll go down through the guests here if you guys continue listening and talk about some of the most listened to episodes. But man, a lot of the people who are running multi-million-dollar businesses, we had people on all the way down from like a couple $100,000 in revenue just starting out all the way up to like 25 million in revenue in the services and the trades. And a reoccurring theme that I saw is the business owners who focus on being the best at their service and hone in their focus on one or two things and go all in on that, and get really good at letting go of control and hiring people who are either better than them or just as good as them, or even in some cases almost as good as them at doing X, Y, and Z task. Those are the business owners who I'm seeing grow very quickly. The people who are focusing on hiring and delegating. And so in 2025, one thing I am really contemplating here is just like, how do I grow as an entrepreneur and what do I need to get better at, even if it makes me uncomfortable? Because the comfortable thing for me to do is to go own and operate. Like, I have the equipment, like I can get the equipment paid off. I could run a small crew. I could do all that. But like, I like growth. I like challenging myself. And so I'm going to continually come back to who, not how. Who can do this task? Like, if I'm spending my time doing a task recurring every single week, I want to think about who can we hire and who can we delegate that task to, right? There are multiple people. John Wilson is one of the ones who comes to mind. He is the host of OWNR Operated Podcast, but he also runs a $25 million home services company. He's in his early 30s. He bought his dad's plumbing business at the $1 million mark, and he has since scaled that to 25 million. And if you have not listened to that episode, you're going to want to go back and check that out, because he breaks down the growth stages of different small businesses. That was episode 29. Okay, John, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you coming on because you gave the masterclass. A lot of our listeners are sub 1 million, like still in that early growth stage. Go back and listen to that, even if you're a couple $100,000 of revenue, because he gives you the exact playbook that you need to be thinking about. And it's very simple. It's like, you're in the truck or you're on the equipment and you've got a couple guys. Things you need to be thinking about delegating are: 1, hire an office assistant as soon as you possibly can. And then 2, hire a sales guy or a project manager. And then you go fill the role of the other one. So either play project manager or play sales guy and go hire the opposite, right? And I went back and re-listened to that episode the other day as I was driving home from Vail to bid a job. And I thought, man, like, that guy's got some wisdom for his age. He's good at what he does. And so, John, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you sharing with our listeners. If you have not listened to that episode, go back and look at that. Some of the other top episodes here, I have my Spotify analytics pulled up. Logan Robinson, the top episode, starting a cleaning business in 1 week. Logan did a challenge with his friends, and I think it was a month-long challenge. And for like the first 3 weeks, he was like doing e-commerce, drop shipping stuff and all that stuff. Then he came across some stuff online and he decided to start a cleaning business. Well, in 1 week, he had paying customers. I can't remember how much revenue he generated, but go back and listen to that one. Logan, I appreciate you being on. If you're listening to this, thanks for sharing. And I wish you the best of luck in 2025. I know you're in growth mode, and I saw one of your posts the other day. Logan is very methodical about how he builds his processes and how he hires. And so I brought him on a second time. Once again, thanks for being on. Second most listened to episode, $5 million excavation business at 23 years old. This was an episode with Garrett Williams. He is on YouTube. He's got a pretty big YouTube channel in the landscaping, excavation, and snow removal world. If you have not watched him, even if you're not in the excavation or snow or landscaping world, go watch him. Just search Garrett Williams G&M Outdoors on YouTube. The kid's like 23, maybe he's 24 now, but he is one of the most positive people I have ever met. His positivity is infectious. If you go watch some YouTube videos at night of Garrett, like you're going to be amped up and ready to grow the next day. You're going to be ready to treat your team right. You're going to be ready to treat your customers right. Garrett, I'm thankful for you, and I'm looking forward to filming some content out there with you in Minnesota here in a couple weeks. Keep an eye out for that. We're doing some YouTube stuff over there, and we're going to record some podcast episode. Garrett and his sister run a $5 million business. They're in their early 20s. His sister runs all the back office operations. I brought her on to kind of give the breakdown of like office operations 101. So Marlena, thanks again for being a guest on the show as well. Marlena is so dialed in her back office processes. So go give that episode a listen. It is Office Operations 101. Let me see if I can find the episode number for that one. That was episode number 45, Office Operations 101, manage schedule, quotes, jobs, and invoices better. We talked about how to do things in Jobber, so go listen to that one if you have not already. I got to do a quick shout out to Bodie and Andy, my partners, SEO partners, Striker Digital. I say partners, we're not formally business partners, but we do business together. They have delivered incredible results on the SEO side for Bear Claw, and if you guys have been listening to the podcast, like, you know, I can't shut up about them because they're just great at what they do. I love being around people who want to be the best at their craft. And that's why I ran rave about Bodie and Andy, because like if you choose to work with them, or if you do go work with them, you're going to realize really quick they are some of the most serious guys I know about being the best in their industry. So like you meet those people and you just quickly know like, yep, these guys are going to take this thing to the moon. And they're doing it because they're actually delivering great results. So Bodie, episode number 10, ranking number 1 on Google for dumpster rental with Bodie Gallo. We talked a lot about his dumpster rental business in that one, but I've brought him on 2 other times to talk about SEO growth. Got episode 37, SEO tips for local service businesses. So go listen to that one if you want to learn, really just like how they're thinking about doing SEO on the back end. I also did a Google My Business profile with Bodie Gallo, and that's just like free content. Like anybody can go listen to that episode and go optimize their Google My Business. Follow the instructions that Bodie talks about. It was episode number 38, optimize your Google My Business profile with Bodie Gallo. That one will tell you, like literally, go listen to that one if you do not have a marketing plan, because if you could do one thing, it would be set up the Google My Business profile. You need a website too, but set up the Google My Business profile, optimize that, and you're going to get leads from it. I guarantee you. Like if you just go follow the instructions in that, you're going to get leads. Bodie and Andy, thanks so much again for being on. I've had Bodie's business partner, Andy, on, and he gave us really just things to think about from a website. Like how do you need to structure your website as a service or trade business owner? We called that one Website Must-Haves. That was episode number 54, Website Must-Haves with Andy Walker. Go listen to that one if you want. Like if you've already done like a DIY hack together website, just go listen to that and then go poke around and look at some of the websites that they have built, and you will know what you need to update on your website. Look, it's like, I don't know, for the price that they charge to build a website, I think it's stupid not to hire somebody like them. Even if you don't hire Bodie and Andy, hire somebody else, like pay the pro, just pay somebody. Like if you're an equipment operator, if you're a service provider, this was one of the first things I thought about delegating. And in order to get better at delegating, you got to practice. It's just like a muscle. It's like training at the gym, right? You're not going to go into the gym and throw on 2 plates if you've never bench pressed before and throw that up. Maybe if you're some freak of nature, but you got to start with the bar, and then you've got to put on 25s, then you got to put on 35s, 45s, all that stuff, and you got to train, right? So if you want to get better at delegating, start now and practice. Website is one of the easiest things to delegate. It's not worth DIYing. Like if you don't have a web design or SEO background, like you're just going to screw a bunch of stuff up. It's worth paying like $2,500 to somebody who's a pro. I actually just paid, and I haven't had him on the podcast yet, but I just paid the 72-hour site, Sam, to revamp the podcast website because they're really design focused, and I wanted to outsource that and just get somebody who has like conversion principles for, podcasting media, all that stuff. So I just paid him $2,500 before the end of the year so I could just claim it as a write-off, right? That is an investment that's going to pay off long-term for the podcast. For my service businesses, I've used an agency called Launch Kits before. They're great at what they do, and they're the ones who actually built the Bear Claw website. And No issues with them at all. I just do a lot of business with Bodie and Andy, and I believe that they have this service-based business stuff dialed. And for the cost that they charge, like if you go sign up for SEO services and you pay them $1,500 a month, like they're going to give you a really good price on that website. So it's worth paying them just to do it all. And then you know that it's done right. Because when you build a website, you want to think about like all the things on the back end: titles, meta descriptions, page structure, submitting and indexing on Google. Like there's a lot that actually goes into it. So I hear a lot of people, why wouldn't I just build it on Wix? It's like, dude, like don't waste your time. Like you're going to spend all week doing it at a minimum if you've never done it on Wix before. You're going to try to play around with the designer, and then you're just going to hack together something, and it's going to be a slow site. It's not going to be indexed properly. Like whatever you do, please just don't DIY a website on Wix. If you're going to be in service, or if you're going to take this stuff serious, go make some money, provide a service to your customers, and then reinvest that money back into a professional web designer. I'm telling you, it's going to, like, you're going to skyrocket past all your DIY customers. All your DIY competitors. If you guys can't tell, I love the marketing side of things, and I get really amped up on it. Julius, how to start a pressure washing business. That's the number 4th, coming in at just over 1,000 episode starts. Logan's was 1867. Garrett's was a little over 1,000. Bodie's was 1,000. Julius is a little over 1,000 listens. Then we come in with a septic business. I had so much fun interviewing Brock. Brock has become a good friend at this point. We text and call each other now because we're in similar industries. Like we're operating the equipment. We're thinking about how to pay down debt, which pieces of equipment to buy with cash, which ones to finance, what kind of debt load do you want to carry? How do you think about paying guys? What size crews do you want to run, and how quickly does it make sense to scale in these excavation, land clearing type related industries where you're operating heavy equipment? So Brock I've found really interesting. And out of all the people I've interviewed, like I love all you guys who have interviewed, but Brock has challenged me to think. Because you listen to a guy like John and he's scaled his business to 25 million, and that's really cool. It is. What's also cool is Brock has 3 guys, himself and 2 other guys. And they did, I'm releasing an episode in January. They did 2.3 million with 3 guys this year. Why? Because they specialized in one service and they went balls to the wall. They just went all in. So one of the first ones I brought him on was episode 22, septic business goes 0 to 1.3 million in 7 months. Brock was like a lot of other contractors. People fall into this trap. It's like if you're generally handy, it's so easy for you to go do a bunch of different services. Customers will call you, hey, can you fix my trim? Yeah. Right? Like a lot of guys say yes. Hey, can you fix my pool? Yeah. They go fix their pool. Hey, can you pour my concrete? Yeah, I'll be there. Hey, can you build my house? Yeah. Like that's the trap that most contractors fall into. I still fall into this trap, I feel like, because Brock has challenged me in a way. Like the dude literally picked septic installs, one thing, and he went all in on it. He did all of his marketing. In my mind, I'm like, dude, we got to do forestry, we got to do excavation, we got to do snow. And I'm still not convinced that we need to move away from that model, but I have put a ton of thought into it. It's like, dude, do we just need to focus on one, like pick one and go all in? My question for you, if you're listening to this, is like, just think about it. Go back and listen and take what Brock is saying and ask yourself, hey, where am I stretched too thin right now? Where am I stretched too thin? Where could I focus more? Right? And the reason I've answered no to that is because I'm like, I like the niche services. We do fire mitigation out here, which is essentially forestry cleanup. We do some land clearing as well for new construction, but we also do road grading, which has led us into the excavation. So I believe if we are consistently focused on dividing and conquering within our company, right? If somebody's specifically responsible for excavation, if somebody's specifically responsible for the forestry side, somebody's responsible for the snow, like I think we're still moving in the right direction, right? I think where you run into issues is when you have your team just like jumping around to all different services. Why? Because you miss out on efficiency. See, what I took away from Brock is he picked septics and he just said, I'm going to be the best septic installer anywhere close to me. And they are cleaning up. Like arguably, like I think Brock's story is one of the most impressive. 3 guys and they're doing $2.3 million. They did $2.3 million revenue in 2024. Some of you might be listening and have built bigger businesses, but my question for you is like, how many people did it take to get there? Tech businesses, software businesses, a little north of $750K per employee. That's scooting. That's impressive. They are hustling. Now, Brock is wearing the hats of like 4 people. He's doing like 4 people's jobs. But that's why I respect people like that, right? Like the guy is literally becoming the best version of himself. So if you have not listened to that, go back and listen to Brock's. I did part 1, I did part 2. So septic business goes 0 to 1.3 in 7 months. Then I did a part 2, same thing. We dove in deeper. If you are in the excavation or construction industry, like I would highly encourage you to go listen to that one, because he talks a lot about how he was bouncing around doing a bunch of different services as a general contractor. And then he picked one and focused and just became the best. And they're going to build a great business. They already have, first couple years of operating. Then I brought him on, interviewed him over the Christmas break, and we will be releasing the latest episode to get the most updated version of his story. Brock, thanks again. You guys already know Garrett Williams. I mentioned him earlier. He is next in line on the top listen to episodes, episode 28, excavation bidding overview and org chart structure with Garrett from G&M. So they run a $5 million business. I wanted to just pick his brain on like, hey, how do you think about bidding? And then also, how do you think about building your org chart? And how do you think about building your crews? I've already mentioned SEO tips. Okay, this one's fun. Chris Berg, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you being on. Chris is a very seasoned veteran entrepreneur. 21 years of entrepreneurship lessons with Chris Berg, the car wash guy. If you're on X, like Chris was kind of coining himself as a car wash guy, but the reality is that's like one of his 4 businesses where he makes, and sorry if I'm sharing too much, Chris, but he makes all his cash in the e-commerce business, and then he's plowing that cash into buying car washes and then claiming the bonus depreciation to offset his taxes. Super smart guy, just savvy entrepreneur, and has become a great friend at this point, someone I lean on for entrepreneurial advice. He's the one who first challenged me to hire faster than I thought I needed to. So Chris, thanks for all of the help that you've given me throughout the first couple of years of starting this business. So that's kind of an overview of the first, I don't know how many I've talked about now, but that's an overview of the top episodes here in 2024. In 2025, we're going to do more of the same. All right. I've asked for your guys' feedback, and all the feedback has been positive. So thanks to those of you who have been reaching out. Thanks to those of you who have subscribed to the newsletter. So if you're still listening to this, you've probably heard me mention it at the end of each episode, but we do a weekly newsletter. We have a media team on the back end. When I record an episode, we have a production process. They put it into production, they edit it, they post it, and then they go. We're leveraging AI tools. We're using a software called Descript. Well, I record in Squadcast. So if any of you guys are coming on as a guest, we record in Squadcast. That's owned by Descript. You can easily export your episode over into Descript, and then you can transcribe that episode into text. From there, you can copy that text and input it into something like ChatGPT or Claude. And then we have all these scripts that we're running. Like, hey, you are a professional newsletter writer. We want to summarize this episode and give our readers the main learning lessons, right? So there are all these cool ways. If you guys aren't using AI yet within your business, maybe I'll do an episode on that, because as we've taken on shoveling services and more snow services, I've definitely used ChatGPT to like optimize routes and whatnot for our plow and shovel routes. But that's beside the point. If you have not signed up for the newsletter, go sign up to get the summarized episodes sent to you in newsletter format. That's at ownerops.com/newsletter. At the time of recording this, you'll be signing up on the old website. My hope is that the new website is launched, though. Their whole thing is 72 hours from the time you have your kickoff call that it's launched, or at least version 1. So hopefully by the time I publish this, you will be opting into that newsletter on the most updated, new designed website. Guys, I'm pretty worked. We're doing a lot of snow services right now. We've taken on about 180 snow shoveling accounts, 1 plow route going. But as you guys know, like there's just no days off. And so we got the pedal pedal to the metal. I'm jumping back in the truck, owner operator style for 2025 though. Like, I'm not losing focus of the podcast because this is something that I enjoy, brings me energy, and you guys have told me that you like it. So once again, I'm just going to do more of the same. I'm going to interview people in service-based businesses, in trade-based businesses, not tech, not e-commerce. The only ones I might bring on are people like Chris, and then I do have my friend Simon scheduled. I'm bringing on savvy entrepreneurs who can give advice to those of us who are in the early stages of business. So a couple of these guys have built and sold multiple businesses. Simon is an incredible entrepreneur. I cannot wait to interview him. He is now launching an aviation business called Turner Aviation. For his third business, he has made 2 runs on 2 different businesses. Both of them, he committed a decade of his life. So really for the last 20 years, he has been building businesses. And I believe each run was about a decade before he sold. I'm really excited to bring him on the podcast because he has been just another one who has been willing to pour into me and give feedback along the way. So Simon, if you are listening to this, I'm excited about our interview and thanks so much for your help along the way. Those are the types of people I want to bring on. Anybody who I feel like can give sound advice. I'm also just going to keep interviewing people in the services and in the trades. So if you have a recommendation of somebody who has built a great business or somebody who is building a great business, I want to hear from you, or I want to hear from them. So I've got interviews lined up for the first couple months here, but would love to continue building out this interview schedule. We're going to stick to the once a week schedule. Like I said, I still want this to be fun. There may be a point in the future where we increase the volume here, but I am running my business, and that is the main priority here. I record on Friday and Saturday mornings, like super early in the morning. I feel like if I can dedicate a couple hours a week to this, keep it going, and as long as it's still fun, and as long as people are still getting value out of it, like, I'm going to keep doing it. Like, I love talking to other people, learning from them, and then creating a format in which y'all can learn from. Basically, like I don't claim to be the expert. I'm still a learner here, right? I'm still in training. I'm just putting in the reps, and I want y'all to have access to the same people I'm talking to. And so if you do decide to stick around, if you're listening up to this point and you have not liked or followed the podcast on Apple or Spotify, would you mind to go ahead and do that? Just like building a service-based business, 5-star reviews are super important. So would love it if you guys left a 5-star review as well. You guys hear me say that in every episode, but I do believe this is important, and this is something I want to share. Whenever I ask a customer, if a customer gives us a compliment on our services at Bear Claw, my first thing is to say, look, our guys get a bonus for every 5-star review we get. Would you mind saying what you just said in a 5-star Google review? Oh yeah, no problem at all. Okay, while I'm standing there with the customer, I just text them the link. It's really important to focus on getting the 5-star reviews. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're enjoying this content and you're excited about 2025, would you mind to go to Apple or Spotify, whichever one you're listening, and leave us a 5-star review? Because just like service business, podcast algorithms work in a similar fashion. Helps us out a ton, and we'd appreciate it. And then if you're listening on YouTube, would you mind to like and subscribe to the channel? I think I've stated sort of everything, given a recap. I'm excited for this year. 2025, I've already decided is going to be the best year yet. We're going to grow the business. I've set the goal to hit 2 million this year in our business. I thought I was going to do this like crazy goal setting episode, but the reality is, like, dude, just pick a goal and then start doing the thing. Like, so many people take so much time, like you read on the internet, like reflecting and goal setting. I'm like, man, that's awesome. But like, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in these service-based businesses. So like, pick a goal. Like last year it was 1.2, this year's 2. We're going to have to work hard to get there. We're going to have to hire some people. With the podcast, look, my goal, like I'm hesitant to even, it's like, I don't really have a listens goal. Like, we're at probably 60,000 total right now. I mean, 150,000 listens sounds, double it and some more, right? Maybe 200,000. I'm not really worried about that. What I'm more worried about is the actions. Like, when I goal set now, my goals are what are referred to as lead measures, right? If you haven't looked up the difference between lead measures and lag measures, go look that up online. In short, lag measures are the outputs, lead measures are the inputs. So my goal is to make sure that we are publishing one episode and one newsletter every single week. And if we do that, the lag measures take care of itself. Like listens, views, followers, all that stuff on social media, they're vanity metrics, right? Like, and I've talked about this before. The goal shouldn't be to get more of those. Like if you're in this game or if you're in this content creation game, it's no different than building a business, right? Yes, you can sit here and think about generating $2 million in revenue, but if you don't go actually put some lead measures to it and figure out what is actually going to drive that and commit to doing the things that are going to drive that, then you're never going to get there. So for me, the content thing is a personal growth challenge. The podcast is a personal growth challenge. Can I commit to doing what I said I'm going to do? And can I build a team and a process around producing and publishing media? For me, it's about the challenge, right? Like, can I commit to doing the thing? Right now, I'm doing the thing. And then on the back end, we're going to send this to the team. They're going to edit it. They're going to publish it. They're going to do everything. And then I'm going to review it. And if I want to change something, I'm going to ask that we change that. And I'm going to do my best to make it better. 2024, we just moved fast, right? We threw a bunch of things against the wall. 2025, we're going to refine those processes. So now that we have our first version of the process, the post-production and the publishing process in place, now I can spend my time studying the titles, studying the descriptions. Hey, what are other successful podcasts doing that we're not, right? Like those are the things that are fun and they're challenging as an entrepreneur. Challenging yourself to get better every single day, to me, is the worthwhile goal. It's about the process. And I'm so in love with the process, right? Like you hear it all the time. People say, okay, I want to go make $10 million or I want to grow a $10 million business or $100 million, right? And like when they get there, Christian Ruff, he was another one I brought on the podcast last year. Christian, if you're listening to this, thanks so much for coming on and doing what you do for this entrepreneurial community. For those of you who don't know Christian, he's the founder of Uncommon Elite. They do incredible work with like hosting events to get leaders and executives, entrepreneurs together and just challenge people mentally and physically. But he asked me the other day, he said, hey, what would you do if either you sold or you were given $100 million? And like without hesitation, I was like, go buy equipment and start offering forestry, excavation, and snow services. So it's like, I know I'm doing what I would be doing if I had achieved that goal anyway. So my point with this is, like, you can set the goal of 10 million, 100 million, whatever that may be, or 1 million, maybe it's just that. But once you achieve it, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're wired to grow, like that craving, I don't think ever goes away. And so one thing I'm really working on doing is like, just enjoy the process. You don't have to have everything perfect right now. Enjoy the process of figuring out how to make it better. That to me is what wakes me up at 3 or 4 a.m. every morning, right? I freaking love trying to make it better because it's a challenge and it's fun and there's no exact playbook to do it. You can't go read a book and just be like, here's exactly how you grow a forestry, excavation, and snow business. Like there's a lot of variables that go into that. There's a lot of variables depending on which market you're in. So you have to like be in the game to just get better at it. And to me, that is what is enjoyable. Like challenging yourself to become the best version that you can be every single day. So 2025, I'm going to challenge you guys. Let's just be the best versions of ourselves. How can you get better this year? What do you need to do? What do you need to focus on to become a better version of whatever role you're filling in the business? Okay. I know I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time, and I'm sure you aren't either. When you make a mistake, address it, own up to it, figure out how you can get better the next time, and then move forward, right? That's all this entrepreneurial game is. So I'm going to wrap this episode up there. I got to pee like a Russian racehorse, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Stick around. I've got some exciting episodes in January to be published. We've already recorded them. Like I said, Brock's coming back on and a couple other exciting guests. So stick around each week. Episodes published on Friday. Newsletters go out on Saturday. Check it out, ownerops.com to get more information, ownerops.com/newsletter to sign up for the newsletter. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less.